stay off the roads. July 1. If you are anywhere around the Frankston area, stay the fuck off the roads, because this is very important and you're not going to believe it, but I have booked in my test, my driver's test, my license test. I don't even know what it's called. That's how little attention I've put towards this massive milestone in becoming a functioning adult human being. I don't even know what it's called. I've got to go to Vic Roads or the DMV if you're an American, and I'm doing my test on July 1st. Stay the fuck off the roads in the Frankston area. I don't want this to be difficult for me. Whatever you can do to make traffic flow easier on July 1 would be greatly appreciated, because I, at some point, am going to be switching lanes and doing head checks, looking for things. I still have not discovered what that is supposed to be for. I turn to the right, I look out the window. I turn to the left, I look out the window. I don't know what I'm looking for. Hopefully I'll know it when I see it. On my previous test, I did notice in my blind spot there was a cyclist. However, I merged and flattened him, and the instructor actually got me to pull over, and we got out of the car, and he just stopped me to shake my hand. And then we got back in and we continued driving. So I know that you don't believe it, but I've got, on July 1st, I'm going for my P's. I'm 31. I'm 31 years old. Fuck, I got my instructor good the other day. At the end of the lesson, we're booking in the test. He goes, mate, I think you're ready for the test. I might be the oldest person he said that to. I got to ask him. But he goes, I think you're ready for the test. Let's book it in. And we go through the booking in process. And he had to, I've been driving with this guy for months. Sorry, correction. I've been driving with this guy for years. This bloke started teaching me how to drive during COVID. And we're still working on it. So either he's the worst instructor alive or I'm the worst student alive. It's probably the latter. Potentially, he's the most patient instructor alive. I think that I would have to be his most long-term client. I mean, how long are you supposed to teach someone how to drive? 6 months? You know, unless they're 16, in which case it's like technically 2 years, but they can probably do it after 6 months. Me, 4 years, baby. That would be embarrassing if you started at 16, right? Because you would be 22 before you got your license. That would be embarrassing. I am 31 and I started during 2020. Fuck, that's 5 years. Fuck! That's 5 years. This guy's been teaching me how to drive and I'm still figuring it out. Mate, the other day he got me to do a 3-point turn in someone's driveway and he was like, you got this. You know exactly what to do. And then I started to do it. And then he said, stop, and took control of the wheel. So I'm 31 and I'm going for my license on July 1st. Inshallah, I will pass the test. But stay the fuck off the roads. But anyway, I got him good, right? We're booking in the test for the first time. And this is at the end of our lesson, which I did quite well in. I even switched lanes, right? A lesson now for me is just him driving the test route, right? So essentially what I'm going to get at the end of this process is a license and the ability to pass the test. Will I know how to drive? It's up in the air, but I will have the license. Anyway, we're booking in this test and he goes, all right, so I just need your learners, so give me the license. And I handed him, this is so embarrassing, I handed him my expired learner's permit because those things expire. Did you know that? You probably didn't, because you would have gotten your learners and then your Ps. So you would have no need for the knowledge that those things expire, but they are valid for how long? Without looking, comment right now in the comment section I want you to comment how long you think a learner's permit is valid for. Don't look, just comment. How long do you think it would be valid for? Now, I know what they're valid for, but if I were to guess, I would say, well, look, you get your learners at 16, so it's going to be valid for at least 2 years because you can't get your license till you're 18. And then maybe you want to give them a little buffer. So let's say I would guess that they would probably be valid for 4 years. Mate, those things are valid for 10 years and mine still expired. Right? So I handed him my expired learner's permit. And he goes, all right, sweet. So he puts the number in and then he puts in the date and he goes, hang on, this is expired. I said, yeah, I know. And he goes, I saw him have a panic attack because we've been driving for like 6 months, 5 years. But this recent go has been consistently for about 6 months. He goes, how long have you been driving with my car with an expired learners? And I said, gotcha, mate. Here's my actual one. And he did not find it funny at all. But it tickled me. And honestly, that's a huge reason why I do what I do. Because, I mean, that's why I'm doing a solo podcast. Because you have a guest on every now and then you say something they don't find it very funny. Everything I say here is funny to me. And whether or not you laugh is kind of out of my control and also not really my concern. Because I'm here to amuse myself and you're welcome to listen to it. And even more welcome to give me a couple bucks a month on Patreon to get even more of it. But if you laugh, that's none of my business. I hope that you do, but if you don't, I laughed. So, you know, my purpose is fulfilled. So anyway, I'm nervous. I don't know if I am going to pass because I'm thinking positive. But here's why I think I'm going to pass, all right? Because the instructor doing the test is going to take one look at me and one look at my learner's permit, and they're going to see my date of birth. And then they're going to talk to me, and I'm going to speak to them with not only perfect English, but I was born here Australian accent. Because the only way that they would ever do a test for someone that was my age would be someone who was an immigrant, but like a refugee, because they never learned to drive in their fucking home country because they were being persecuted for whatever. So they had to flee to Australia and they genuinely had to learn how to drive because from the age of 0 to 35, there was no electricity, but a lot of violence. All right, so I'm hoping that they'll take one look at me, see my age, my gray hair, hear my Australian accent, and go, oh, this guy's not even a refugee. He's just a fucking moron. And hopefully they'll show mercy on me and be like, look, this guy needs his license even more than the refugee does, because at least the refugee has their affairs in order, right? Half the reason why I haven't got my license is because I can't fill out a fucking form on a website without having conniptions. You know? Like a refugee, if they came here legitimately, they had to fill out a lot of forms and go through a lot of paperwork. So I'm going to be real with you. If I was being persecuted in my home country, right, for being Australian, for some maybe the Taliban hates Australians. If I was being persecuted in my home country, and I was under threat of death, if I could escape that persecution and move to the free world and greatly improve my life, my circumstances, and save the life of my wife and children, if that were an option for me, but I had to fill out a form, I would die. I would die because I don't want to fill out a form. I don't want to do that. I don't want to fill out a form. I don't want to do a phone call where we fill out a form together. I don't want to visit a website and sign something and think at all. I don't want to do those things. I would rather die. Did you know that on YouTube, since I left my network because they were robbing me, right? My YouTube network was stealing my money and not giving it to me. I could have left that network months before then, but I had to fill out paperwork, so I didn't do it. I was like, I'd rather be robbed. Then they released me. I think they went bankrupt or something. I don't even know what happened. They released me. Now I have no YouTube network. I get paid directly from YouTube. But because YouTube is an American business and I'm Australian, I have to fill out one tax form so that I don't get taxed by the United States government. And if I don't fill out that form, I will get taxed 30% on every single dollar that I earn on YouTube, and it will go to a country that I do not live in so that I can pay for missiles that are landing on children in Gaza, not once, but twice, because I pay tax in Australia also. I have been getting taxed 30% by YouTube for like 8 months because I don't want to fill out a form. Spotify just introduced monetization. I haven't gotten $1 because I got to fill out a form. There is something wrong with me.